Hello, everyone. Amir Haruni here with Premier Financial Academy, back with another powerful educational video. Let's jump right in.
If you're a business owner, you've probably just noticed a big change in your cash flow. But what if the smartest thing to do with that new capital isn't what you think? We're about to dive into a secret weapon for your business's growth and, just as importantly, its stability. So, some recent tax legislation has finally brought some much-needed clarity. For a while there, things were kind of up in the air, right? And it forced a lot of business owners to just sit on their cash. But now that the rules are clearer, that capital is finally being unlocked, and that creates a massive opportunity. So, with all this new capital on the table, the question is obvious. What is the smartest move? Do you buy more equipment? Do you dump it into R&D? And while those are super tempting, there is a much more fundamental challenge that you really need to solve first. Because let's be honest, a business is absolutely nothing without its people. And the number one challenge that keeps owners up at night, it isn't about market share, it's about their team. For over a decade now, every bit of market research has shown one concern that consistently, year after year, tops the list for business owners. It's not rising costs, it's not taxes, it's not competition. It's this: how do I keep my best people? Employee retention. That's it. This question just makes an abstract idea feel incredibly real, doesn't it? Just take a second and actually think about it. Who is that one person for you? I mean, losing them isn't just an inconvenience. It can literally cripple your operations and completely derail your growth. That is the real cost of failing at retention. And you know, this whole retention puzzle has gotten so much harder to solve recently. I mean, for the first time ever, you might have 4, maybe even 5 different generations working in the same office, and they all want completely different things from their employer. So your older generations, your boomers and Gen X, they're often focused on that traditional security, things like a solid retirement plan and healthcare. But for millennials and Gen Z, the priorities just shift dramatically. They're looking for flexibility, tech, and those soft benefits, like pet insurance. A one-size-fits-all plan? It just doesn't cut it anymore. No way.
This creates this huge challenge, especially for small and medium-sized businesses. I mean, how can you possibly compete with the massive, customizable benefit plans that some giant corporation can offer? What's the solution when you just can't be everything to everyone?
Well, the answer isn't to try and match the giants. It's to be smarter, be more strategic. So instead of offering these broad, non-discriminatory plans like a 401k to everyone, you focus on what are called asymmetrical benefits. These are selective, targeted plans designed for the specific people you absolutely cannot afford to lose. Okay, so this brings us to the playbook, which uses a strategy that's often called golden handcuffs. There are really 2 primary ways to do this, and it all comes down to what your main goal is. All right, let's break this down. First up, you have the reward plan. This is for a key employee that you trust completely. The business gives them a bonus to fund an asset, maybe it's a life insurance policy, that the employee owns and controls. The business gets a tax deduction right now, but there's a risk that employee can walk out tomorrow and take the whole thing with them. Now compare that to the retain plan. This is for someone who's super valuable but might be a flight risk. In this case, the business owns and controls the asset, not the employee.
So, how does the retain plan actually work? Well, the business sets aside money each year into a corporate-owned account. Now, if the employee stays for a set period of time, let's say 10 years, they get the full amount as a big bonus. But here is the key. If they leave a single day early, they get nothing. 0. It is all or nothing, which, as you can imagine, is a pretty powerful incentive to stay put.
These strategies are absolutely critical for retaining your key people. But they lead to an even bigger question. What about retaining the business itself when an owner leaves? And this brings us to the ultimate form of risk management, succession planning. Think about it. You can have the most loyal team in the world, but if a co-owner suddenly dies, becomes disabled, or even gets divorced, the entire business could be thrown into complete chaos if there isn't a plan in place. You hear this all the time, right? Especially in family-owned businesses. Oh, we don't need a formal agreement. We're family. We trust each other. The problem is, they really believe that blood is thicker than water, right up until money gets involved. Let me tell you a true story that illustrates this danger perfectly. There were 2 brothers who co-owned a successful pizza chain. They did the first part right. They bought life insurance on each other so the survivor would have cash to buy out the other's share. But they never put that agreement into a legal document. It was just a handshake. When one brother tragically died, the other one was legally entitled to all that insurance money. He kept it, refused to buy out his sister-in-law, and the legal battle that followed not only destroyed the business, but it fractured their family forever. A buy-sell agreement prevents that exact kind of disaster. It's a legally binding contract. Think of it as a rule book for what happens when an owner exits for any reason. It sets the value of the business, and crucially, it ensures the cash is there, often through life insurance, to make the buyout happen smoothly.
Let me put it as simply as I can. A buy-sell agreement is a will for your business. If you die without a personal will, the state decides where all your assets go. It is exactly the same for your business. Without this document, you are leaving the fate of your life's work to probate code. So, we've seen how critical it is to have a plan, not just for your key people, but for the ownership of the company itself. Which really just leaves one final question for you to think about. Is your business truly prepared for its future?
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Drop your thoughts or questions in the comments. I'd love to hear from you and continue the conversation. Your support helps the channel grow and keeps the content coming. See you in the next one.